Welcome to NFL Live. 25 teams and OTAs today. 8 teams kicking off their practices today, including the Commanders. And a healthy Jaden Daniels. He's out there on the field. You see him right now. We'll actually hear from Jaden on the new offense under OC David Blau in just a few minutes. And then just up the road in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson out there also learning a new offense. He spoke for the first time in months today. Wait until you hear what he had to say about the changes for the Ravens. That's coming your way. And in New England, they're focused on returning to the Super Bowl. Drake May out there on the field. And of course, the countdown to an expected A.J. Brown trade is on. The Patriots very much involved there. For more on that, we are going to start there. Welcoming in our Mike Reese. And Mike, how did the current receiver group look out there today?
Laura, I watched this group closely at practice, and wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, a starter last year, was not here for this voluntary work. He's working out elsewhere, and he would be directly impacted as an outside receiver by a potential trade for A.J. Brown. And then there was the newcomer, Romeo Doubs, wearing Rob Gronkowski's old number 87. He was targeted on the first pass from quarterback Drake May in full team drills. Here's Coach Mike Vrabel on what he's seen from the team's wide receivers.
It's good to see Romeo out there. It was good to see some of the new faces, some of the young guys. It was good to see, Kyle Williams get some opportunities and Chiz. And, so again, we're going to look to strengthen the roster wherever we can. But it was also a great day to see guys that maybe didn't get as many opportunities last year, especially Romeo, who wasn't on our team.
Laura, after practice, I asked defensive tackle Milton Williams if he had to resist putting on his general manager's hat and going up and saying, trade for A.J. Brown, because I played with him in Philadelphia. He smiled. He said he's heard the noise like many of the other players. He called Brown a monster on the field, and then he said, look, they don't pay me to make trades like that.
Hey, he can definitely make some comments, though, right? I'm not sure anybody there needs convincing. By the way, June 1st is Monday for anybody keeping track. We'll be all over that if and when anything happens. Now, Mike Vrabel did miss day 3 of the draft to focus on his family. Mike, what did he say about missing any more time during offseason activities?
So, Laura, he deflected on the topic. He said he's only focused on today, and he said he's here today in full force. And Milton Williams was asked what he's observed from Vrabel, and he said he's seen the same guy. He's talking smack, and he's getting guys going. And Laura, out at practice, I was watching Mike Vrabel. There was a drill. He's with the running backs, and he wanted to see quick, decisive cuts. And when he saw one he didn't like, he yelled out, hey, no pitter-patter. So the vocal part of Mike Vrabel, you see him out on the field, you hear him out on the field. It feels like really the same Mike Vrabel that we've seen over the last year.
All right, no pitter-patter. We'll all try to take some of that advice. Thanks to Mike Reese for joining us here. Always the best. And Drake May and the Patriots will be tested early this season, starting with a Super Bowl rematch in Seattle on Wednesday night that opens the season. Now, their next 3 games are against the Steelers, Jaguars, and Bills. And New England, by the way, the only team in the NFL to begin 2026 with 4 straight games against teams that made the playoffs last season. All this could maybe feel a little better if they do get A.J. Brown. So glad that you're with us on this Wednesday, and we have a packed show for you. There's a lot coming your way. We've got Louis Riddick and Booger McFarland with us for the hour. So, Louis, I'll start with you on this. This Patriots team has to be clicking right away. We just showed you the schedule and what it looks like. When you look at what they've added on offense, is it enough for them to take that next step?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think some of the things that weren't really talked about right there, I mean, we were just talking about the wide receivers in particular, but think about that schedule and how it starts and how tough it's going to be with those challenges on the road. Really, what are you going to lean on? You're going to lean on the offensive line, and they really have tried to beef that up with the drafting of Caleb Lomu, Demetrius Crownover. They signed Elijah Vera Tucker in free agency. I mean, those are the kind of things, those trench type of acquisitions, the lines of scrimmage are going to really be what really makes the difference for a football team early on in the season. And really, obviously, as we know, nobody wants to talk about an offensive line until you don't have one or you have one that stinks. And the Patriots have really addressed theirs. They really have. On the perimeter, look, we know Romeo Doubs is a heck of a player. He's probably a 1A, excellent number 2. If they get A.J. Brown, and then, that you go ahead and you pair that with an up-and-coming guy like Kyle Williams, who they talked about getting some more reps, the 3rd rounder from Washington State a year ago. That's not too bad of a group right there, Laura, quite honestly. And look, and Drake is just going to be better, as he continues to get more and more comfortable in Josh McDaniels' offense. I like a lot of the things that they've done.
Yeah, not too bad. I agree. I mean, Boog, I think the point here, too, is how fast they're going to have to get it going out of the gates. Does A.J. Brown elevate this offense in a way that gives you a lot of confidence they can get this going as fast as they need to right off the start?
Oh, without a doubt. And we're assuming that this A.J. Brown trade is going to go through. And if it does, what it does for Drake May is give him a bona fide number one. Somebody that regardless of what the coverage is on the play, regardless of what the down and distance is, Drake May knows he has somebody to throw the football to. Every quarterback in the National Football League needs that. Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase. Think about when Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill. Now he's got Travis Kelce. Like, everybody needs somebody that when the chips are down, you can throw the football to. And preferably, that needs to be a guy on the outside playing the X position that can win one-on-one battles. So if they do make this trade, I think that's going to take Drake May's game to the next level. And it's going to make this Patriots offense a little bit more diverse and give them some more weapons on the outside, Laura.
Yeah, Drake May was the only quarterback in the NFL to complete at least 70% of his passes when targeting wide receivers last season. And now, as we keep alluding to, he could be getting A.J. Brown. We're going to leave that there. We got our first look, by the way, at Patrick Mahomes out on the field at Chiefs OTAs yesterday. That's less than 6 months since tearing his ACL and LCL. You see him out there with a knee brace on, but looking pretty good, moving around pretty well. Remember, the Chiefs opened the season on Monday Night Football against the Broncos. It's pretty good to see, just as a football fan, him out there doing all of this. Mahomes, of course, has his sights set on playing in that game, Monday Night Football or season opener. Boog, when you see that video, what do you think of Mahomes being out there already?
It's super encouraging because as a football fan and somebody that analyzes this game, you want the best players on the field. And Patrick Mahomes is one of the best of all time. So you got to feel really good if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. The fact that we haven't even reached June and he's already got a helmet on taking drop backs, even though he's moving very gingerly, I get it. It's 4 months until September. So I think the fact that he's on the field right now is super encouraging, that he's going to do everything he can. And I'd be shocked now, based on seeing this, I would be shocked if he's not the opening day starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. It just goes to show you two things. Number one, his willpower and his work ethic. And number two, the advancement in medicine. Because years ago, Lewis, before you and I ever started playing, this was a 12 to 14 month injury. The fact that guys are now coming back 6 months, 9 months, it just goes to show you the advancements that we've made in medicine, man. So this is super cool to see him out there in May.
Hey, y'all, they don't make him like they used to, but they can fix him up a little better than they used to. So I give you guys a lot of credit for powering through what you had to back in the day. Don't want to make you feel old, though. Lewis, you are familiar with the coaches and that training staff in Kansas City. Is it a surprise to you that Mahomes is able to do this much already?
No, not at all. Look, from the very get-go, they told me that he attacked this thing with the same kind of ferocity and the kind of maniacal commitment that Patrick's attacked everything from day one since he's been there. And he really is ahead of schedule. You know, the word I got today was that he looks absolutely fantastic. He's doing warm-up, individual routes on air, some 7-on-7, working out of the gun. And, I mean, the people down there are kind of giddy at the way it's going right now, to be quite honest with you. So I don't think anything has surprised them. Nothing should surprise us. Nothing that this young man has done since he took over, back in 2018, really should surprise us. He is one of one, and that training staff down there headed by Rick Burkholder is one of the very best. I've talked about it many times. I've known Rick Burkholder since I was 18 years old, since I was at the University of Pittsburgh way back in the Stone Age. This dude knows what he's doing. He's got a great team around him that really has taken Patrick and just kind of run with this rehab. And they are excited about this football team and the way they think that the 2026 version is going to look.
Yeah, I'm glad you shouted out Rick, one of the absolute best in this business. Okay, Mahomes and the Chiefs, by the way, hoping to get more out of the run game. He leads the team in rushing since taking over as a starter in 2018. That's not what they want to see. They have Kenneth Walker. That should help a ton. Now to this developing story. Packers running back Josh Jacobs has been released from jail after he was arrested Tuesday and booked on several domestic violence-related charges. The Brown County District Attorney's Office said today that they're not yet prepared to make a formal charging decision, and they have requested an additional additional investigation. Jacobs, through his attorneys, vehemently denied the allegations and said important evidence has not yet been made public. Packers coach Matt LaFleur said today at his availability with the media that the team will, quote, let that process play out. We'll get you more information as soon as we have it. Now, coming up here on NFL Live, the Falcons are out on the field today. It's good to see some football action, I just got to say it. All right, another quarterback competition between these two. Tua Tagovailoa, who they signed this offseason, and Michael Penix, who's coming off an injury. The new Falcons head coach Kevin Stefanski had some high praise for Tua's accuracy today. Listen to this.
I think it's the most important trait at the position, as we've always talked about. Some guys get better at it with tweaks to how they throw the ball, tweaks to how they their lower body, those type of things. But there is an innate ability and all of our guys have this, all of our quarterbacks have this, to be able to let the ball go and it's going where you want it to go. And not to say that you're not going to miss throws in this profession, you're going to miss throws. I think Tua, just in his career, as you've seen, just has that innate God-given ability.
I feel like he caught himself a little bit there. He's like, no, all of our quarterbacks are accurate, but there was a point to be made. And we know that accuracy can be a bit of a superpower for Tua when it's working well. Lewis, when you hear that from Stefanski, can Tua take this offense that's full of playmakers to another level?
Yeah, I think he can. Look, Laura, I think we know that the kind of things that held Tua back were not because he didn't have the requisite skill or like mental horsepower to get the job done. One, he couldn't stay healthy on the football field. And two, the things around him, whether it be true complementary play calling when he was down there in Miami, or there was a deficiency on the offensive line, or the wide receivers down in Miami were hurt and they weren't all on the field at the same time. You know, those were the kind of things that really held him back. It wasn't because you looked at Tua and you thought, man, this guy doesn't process well enough. He doesn't move in the pocket well enough. He doesn't have enough arm strength or accuracy. He has all that. It's just that it didn't come together for him. So I can see why Kevin Stefanski sounds like he's sitting there going, hey, if this guy's healthy, we got an offensive line and a running game, and we can throw the football, you know, in the play action pass game, I may have something here. That's not shocking. That's not shocking considering that Bijan is a great run threat, obviously, a great receiver, obviously. Drake London is a great outside line receiver, obviously. Zachariah Branch could wind up being one of those revelations of the draft out of Georgia, who you know well, as a home run hitter in the slot position with home run speed. Yeah, look, I personally think Tua should win this job. All things being equal, no disrespect to Michael Penix, Tua is a fantastic passer. If he can stay on the football field and they can play complementary football, I think he wins this job going away.
I love that you brought up Zachariah Branch's speed. You got Kyle Pitts, too. I mean, the weapons galore on this offense. How would you handicap this, Boog, as a quarterback competition? Is it Tua's to lose?
I think it's Tua's to lose, health withstanding. I think as Kevin Stefanski gets this offense going, it's going to run through Bijan Robinson. I think we all realize that. It just depends on how they want to do it. Is it going to be a short to intermediate offense? Because that's where Tua is going to thrive. Now, if you want to push the football down the field and Michael Penix Jr. is healthy, there's no doubt about it. He's got the stronger arm. He's got more horsepower in his arm. So I think it's going to be dependent upon Kevin Stefanski to take a look at this offense. You got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and figure out how can I make this offense mesh with what I have. If you want the pinpoint passer, you want the accuracy, you want the timing, you're going to go with Tua Tagovailoa. But for whatever reason, if they say, you know what, we want the guy with a little bit more horsepower, we're going big play hunting, then Michael Penix Jr. clearly has the stronger, more lively arm of the two.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. The Falcons are on the road for 3 of their first 4 games. They start at the Steelers in week 1. Let's talk about the Commanders. They kicked off their OTAs today with a healthy Jaden Daniels on the field. We love to see that. Glad to see Jaden back out there. A new look defense for Dan Quinn, including first-round pick Sonny Styles. See him as well. And here's Quinn on Daniels' unique ability to pick up a new system.
I always notice and admire him of just like the work ethic, the coming back to get it right. His mental quickness, John, is always something that just jumps out to me of like learning a system so quickly and fast. And so I think I saw that a few years ago, and I'm feeling those same instincts now as you guys will see at practice, you know, more huddle, and it'll look differently. You'll see him under center more, but you see the same intent, you see the same communication, and I think it's the like the mental quickness that he makes things that are difficult look easy, and I know they're not.
I'll just say I'm just excited to see Blau live in action, and for the first time to be able to go out there and see how he calls plays and gets his rhythm and his cadence of things.
Yeah, Daniels will have a different look on the offense heading into year 3. David Blau's taken over for Cliff Kingsbury as the Commanders' OC, and Washington added running back Rachaad White and tight end Chig Okonkwo in free agency this offseason. They used a third-round pick on Clemson receiver Antonio Williams. Look, can the Commanders get back to that 2024 form? And they went to the NFC Championship. They were a little bit of a surprise to some people, but it feels like some of the pieces are there. Can they do that with this group?
Yeah, I think they can. Obviously, Jaden Daniels has got to get back to being the guy that we thought he was well on his way to being, which is a top 5 to 10 quarterback in the game. If he can do that and limit the amount of hits they take, then it's going to come down to, can they run the football from a standpoint and from an offensive line standpoint, can they protect him? If they can do all that, the receivers on the outside are ultimately going to be the key. Do they have enough horsepower with Terry McLaurin and those guys on the outside to go out and get open so Jaden Daniels can throw the football with timing and rhythm in this offense? But make no mistake about it, as long as 5 is healthy, this offense can be explosive. Then it comes down to the playmakers around them and the offensive line, can they protect for him? But I look forward to seeing Jaden Daniels flourish, because I think we all saw what he was on his way to being, and the injuries last year kind of took that away from us.
Yeah, I mean, football is just better when Jaden Daniels is healthy, as we've seen what he could do in 2024, which is great to watch. Lou, what are you expecting from him this season?
I'm a big believer. And I think we just forgot. We just forgot about Jaden only because he played in 7 games a year ago. It's almost like, his rookie year didn't happen, because that's how the news cycle goes, right? If you're not current, if you're not happening, if you're not blowing it up in the present, people forget about what you did in the past. This dude is the truth now. This guy took the league by storm 2 years ago. He was throwing that football in ways we've never seen a rookie quarterback do. And I think now that Terry McLaurin got his contract settled, he's not going to miss the entire offseason. He's not going to deal with lower body injuries. And then you go ahead with Terry, and now you add Antonio Williams from Clemson, who we know this guy is explosive, super explosive. Those 2 guys, along with Rachaad White, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that's a nice combination. Katron Allen, who they drafted out of Penn State. Look, Boog's right. The offensive line, especially early in the season, has to carry the day until the perimeter guys and Jaden can establish that chemistry under a new play caller, David Blau. But how about Jaden Daniels coming out here talking about, look, I'm excited to see how the offensive coordinator looks. He ain't worried about himself. He's talking about, I want to see how this guy looks, and I'm excited about him. That just shows you how mature and how on top of it this dude is, man. Jaden is for real. He'll return this year, and he'll remind us all of who he is.
Oh, I love it. Call that shot. I agree. And it was interesting, too, Dan Quinn praising how quickly he can pick up a new offense. By the way, Jaden Daniels did not throw any touchdowns to Terry McLaurin last season after they connected for 12 TDs in 2024. That's an immediate improvement when they're able to be on the field together. Coming up on the show, Jalen Hurts is getting some OTAs today, including Daniel Jones, moving around pretty well out there at the Colts practice while he recovers from the torn Achilles. The team not expecting him in full team periods, but he's certainly on schedule. And how about Derrick Henry in year 11 just tossing medicine balls around like toys at Ravens practice? Boog and Lou, I know you guys can do that too. Look at this guy. He's an absolute beast. Quarterback Lamar Jackson spoke today. We'll have that for you in just moments. And in Philly, Jalen Hurts out there with his Eagles teammates, learning yet another new offense. Offensive coordinator's plans for the season. Of course, Nick Sirianni talked about Hurts, and Hurts talked about all that today.
Sean's done an awesome job thus far, and just really like the command that he has in front of the room, and the conviction that he has in front of the room, and the knowledge that he has in front of the room.
It's been a really good process so far. He's come in and he's very clear, giving good direction. You can definitely see the vision. Ultimately, it's a different leader, different coordinator. It's exciting to be able to learn the new brand of football, get new perspective, and just grow.
I don't know, as many different coordinators as Jalen's had, he could just keep repeating that over and over again. Hopefully for him, he doesn't have to. Hopefully this really works. Big changes this offseason for an Eagles team that got 21 points per game from the offense last year, the fewest in Jalen Hurts' career as a starter. Sean Mannion taking over as the OC. They added wide receivers Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, and Hollywood Brown through the draft, trade, and free agency. Lou, how can Sean Mannion get the most out of Jalen Hurts and this offense? What's going to be the key to do that?
Yeah, I think, Laura, it's really getting him comfortable with all the things that we've talked about ad nauseum that he, so far at this point in his career, hasn't been comfortable with. Namely, consistently working under center, really taking advantage of the play-action passing game, and then attacking the football field between the numbers, okay, which is the easiest, or rather the most direct way to attack a team, and in the way in which most defenses don't want you to attack them, between the numbers, because it's the shortest throws and the easiest throws. So I think if he can get him comfortable with that, and I think a lot of that's going to come off of play action, I think that that's going to take Jalen's game to a whole nother level. Look, he has met every challenge at every different phase of his career. Every time people think as though, well, it's going to be a new offensive coordinator that's going to like hold him back. Well, he's just not a pure pocket passer, the kind of guy who can read it out full field the way other quarterbacks can. He proves them wrong again. I think this is really the challenge for Sean Mannion. Get him comfortable with that. Get him comfortable with a much more diverse offense in terms of formations, shifts, motions, different presentations they can give a defense. And then getting all these new guys on the same page, especially if AJ's not going to be there. Devontae's going to be receiver number 1. Mekhi Lemon's probably going to be receiver number 2. And let's not forget about Eli Stowers, their second-round pick from Vandy.
Yeah.
That's the big guy who could control the middle of the field along with Mekhi Lemon. So these are all things, there's a lot of moving parts there. But Jalen has answered the challenge every single time. I expect him to do the same here.
Yeah, and this is going to definitely be a new challenge. You know, he's answered the call. And typically in situations like this, guys, most receivers run to the quarterback. Like, receivers can't wait to find a quarterback that can get them the football because they know their numbers will go up. But here we have a situation, by all accounts, A.J. Brown is running away from Jalen Hurts, seemingly. Like, I don't know all the inner workings, but it sure seems like he wants out of Philadelphia for some reason. So now, if you're Jalen Hurts, I think you got something to prove. Because, yes, I get all the offensive coordinator turnover. I truly understand that. But this is professional football. You're a pro quarterback. You're paid a lot of money to understand and play the offense in which you're in. And so I'm not going to make excuses for him with all the turnover at the offensive coordinator position because he's paid handsomely for that. Now, he's got to go out because they interviewed like 20 coordinators to try to find the right one for him. They got Sean Mannion. So the relationship between he and Sean Mannion is paramount. I think this is the biggest season of Jalen Hurts' career because there's been a lot of turnover around him, and he's the constant. They've changed offensive coordinators. They brought in Saquon Barkley. A.J. Brown is about to leave. Like, there's been a lot of turnover. He's been the constant, though. And so can he get this team back to where they want to be in the Super Bowl? This is the biggest season of his career, and him and Sean Mannion have to be on the same page.
Yeah, I hear you on the big expectations. I mean, but remember, it was only a couple years ago that he was in the Super Bowl and could have been the MVP of the game as well as he played. So, again, on Mannion and Hurts as well to figure all that out. Now, Hurts also had this exchange with reporters about A.J. Brown.
Pick the right question to sip on, huh?
Okay, and if you were wondering, like, what was said after that, it was just that. Basically, he's like, oh, I need some hydration right now. All right, A.J. Brown, not there today.
I would have got some water, too.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, when y'all start talking crazy, I need to get me a water. I got something to sip on. Just let it breathe. Let you do whatever you want to do. I'm kidding. You two never do that. A.J. Brown, by the way, not there today. We don't expect to see him in an Eagles uniform this season. As Adam Schefter has reported, the expectation he gets traded to the Patriots on or after June 1st. That's Monday. Lou, how do they replace him?
Look, I think here what you're looking at is going to be really a team effort, right? So they don't have a body type like A.J. Brown's. Okay, A.J.'s 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds. Okay, he's built like Mr. Olympia. You're just not going to go find another guy like, we'll just throw this guy in here and he'll do the same thing. It's going to be by committee. So now, like, Devontae has to become primary receiver number one. We know he's capable of carrying that kind of load. He's done it his whole life. I mean, there's a reason why he won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama. Mekhi Lemon, he's an inside-outside guy. Again, smaller, though, 5'10", 190 pounds, tough as hell. He showed that at USC throughout his career. He's going to have to carry the load. Eli Stowers, to me, is the one, though, who's going to have to be more like a big receiver than a tight end and going to have to be that guy to be the big catch radius, big body presence in the middle of the field. Because really that's where, look, AJ won a lot on the outside, but remember back in his days in Tennessee, any in-breaking route, AJ just cooked people on because of how big he is. And that's where Eli's going to have to win. Hopefully they can get all that done. There's a lot of moving parts in Philly, man. A lot.
I know. It's something to keep an eye on for sure. And we haven't said this yet, so I'm going to say it now. Sean Mannion, the 5th different offensive coordinator for Hurts in the last 5 seasons. There's so many different stats that revolve around these different coordinators for Jalen Hurts because he's had so many. All right, the Vikings quarterback competition continues at their OTAs today. Kyler Murray signed this offseason after a disappointing year from J.J. McCarthy, but head coach Kevin O'Connell has said it will be a competition. Here's both quarterbacks today speaking after you see him out there on the field.
It's been great. It's been great. It's what I love to do. You know, ever since I was a little kid, be an NFL quarterback, be out there to chase my dream, winning Super Bowls, be out here with the guys in a new environment, getting acclimated to Minnesota and the system. And like I said, just all the guys been welcoming me. It's been great. It's been awesome.
Look, the organization made a decision that they feel like is going to improve and the depth and the quality of the room, and you know, they feel like they made that decision. But you know, all I'm thinking about is continuing the upward trajectory that I set for myself last season, that last quarter of the season, and continuing to be the best version of me every single day.
Okay, of all the quarterback competitions, I think this one is by far the most interesting. Boog, who's going to win this job?
There's a reason Kyler Murray is there. I'm going to just leave it at that from the J.J. McCarthy standpoint. I think this is Kyler Murray's job to lose. I think the fact that you have Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson on the outside, you need a quarterback that can unlock those weapons. J.J. McCarthy, it just looked like last year that the moment was too big for him, Laura. And I know Justin Jefferson said the right thing over and over, but you got to know, after the season he had last year, he's going to be behind closed doors saying, hey, I don't care which one of you play, but whoever plays better get me the football. I think Kyler Murray has proven to be an above-average passer. And then, here's the thing we're not talking about. When all else fails, he can use the athleticism and get out of the pocket. I think this offense, this could be the best offense in the NFC, bar none. If Kyler Murray is the guy that we think he is, and he can go back to that from what he was in Arizona, this easily could be the best offense in the NFC.
Wow. Lewis, what will you be watching as Kyler learns O'Connell's offense? And you think about it, I mean, Boog referenced it too, these great Vikings wide receivers.
Yeah, I think it's just the rhythm, the flow, the chemistry that he executes this offense with, the way, and in the way in which, like, traditionally Kevin O'Connell wants to execute it, which is putting quarterback under center, hard play action, real solid ball handling, full field reads, progression reads, throwing the football on time with accuracy. See, look, here's the thing. A lot of people say, well, Kyler can't do that. That's not his thing. This is a gun quarterback who needs to, constantly be in half rolls, move in the pocket so he can see, and then he's going to take off and run, and it's going to be quarterback draws and sweeps and stuff. Well, Kevin O'Connell has said himself, Kyler fits our offense better than what people think he does. You really think Kevin would want this guy for his offense if he didn't think he could do the kind of things in his offense that he wants him to do? I think it's his job to lose easily. Easily. And with the wide receivers they got, remember, they added Juwan Jennings too, to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson. They're loaded, man. The Vikings are loaded. Kyler Murray's going to be pulling the trigger here.
Yeah, and remember, Kyler Murray is one of 3 players in NFL history with at least 20,000 passing yards, 3,000 rushing yards through this point in his career. The others, if you're wondering, Josh Allen and Cam Newton. That's the company that this quarterback's in. All right, still to come, another great quarterback, Derwin James, got paid again yesterday. James becoming the highest paid safety in the NFL for the second time in his career after agreeing to a 3-year, $25.2 million per year extension that includes a $57.5 million guarantee. Jim Harbaugh described his reaction to the deal this afternoon.
Just incredible. Just warms the cockles of the heart. When the best player, at the position makes, the most money. I've seen the reports of that, and Also, best player meets combination of best human being, you know. Can't say that anybody more than Derwin, fits that. And I've worked with a lot of people.
Tell him, Coach. Oh, it's time to get defensive with Boog and Lewis. Any excuse to see you guys in your karate uniforms, we are going to take it, okay? Which y'all should see their faces right now. They love it. Okay, Derwin James has been the most productive safety in the NFL over the last 5 years, especially when it comes to getting after the quarterback. His 15.5 sacks and 52 pressures were the most among all defensive backs in the previous 5 seasons. He's been named an All-Pro in 3 of the last 4 years. He's one of those guys that you hear his name, you say, yeah, that guy is incredible, Hall of Fame level, right? Lewis, the stats speak for themselves, but as someone who played defensive back in the NFL, what things about Derwin James stand out to you?
Everything. He's one of those guys. Look, I would say to Derwin the same thing I used to say to Sean Taylor when he used to walk into my office in Washington over there in Ashburn, which was, you are everything I wish I could have been in a football player, which is you are big, you are fast, you're smart, you're versatile, you can play man, you can play zone, you can knock people out, you have hands like a wide receiver. That's what Derwin is. That's why when Derwin came out of Florida State 9 years ago, I said, he is, to me, the closest thing I've ever seen to Sean. And he has done that. He has become everything that maybe Sean would have become, as he moved through his career, meaning a guy who can go down and play the star position, who can just absolutely, blitz the lights out and just terrorize quarterbacks. He makes big-time tackles. He can intercept the football. And he's a great guy. When you talk to Derwin James, you come away going, that's a dude who I'd pay my last dollar to if I needed to, because he's that good.
Yeah, but when you look at this Chargers defense as a whole, what is the most important thing for them to be successful this season?
Well, I think their ability to get after the passer. And so now it comes down to Khalil Mack and Tui Pelotu. Can they continue to get the pass rush revved up? Because, I know the defense is going to blitz and bring some of these exotic schemes and all that. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to rush one-on-one. And in this defense, you need pressure off the edge. So can Tui Pelotu and Khalil Mack continue to get the pressure off the edge, especially Khalil Mack? Tui Pelotu was a double-digit sack guy last year. Can we get Khalil Mack to turn it back up? Can we turn back the hands of time, Khalil Mack, and get the Khalil Mack of old? If we can, this Charger defense, especially with how exotic they can be, they're going to come at you from a lot of different ways. I'm looking forward to this Charger football team, a very under-the-radar team. And that's not something you can say in the National Football League because we cover it from top to bottom. But the Los Angeles Chargers are under the radar, and to me, that's right where Jim Harbaugh wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk that much about the offense when we're talking about him right this second. Mike McDaniel coming in there with Justin Herbert. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, coming your way next on NFL Live. Okay, Lamar Jackson back at the Ravens facility today for OTAs. He was also there yesterday after missing last week's activities. Here's Lamar on all the change in Baltimore.
New coach, new OC, different new guys in positions. So everything is just new, basically, besides upstairs, But coaching staff is just new, and I can say it's a breath of fresh air because everything is just new.
Just watching him get better and better over the years and making the plays and continuing to get better that all players search for. To see that and to now have a chance to be on the same side is pretty cool.
Lou, what do you be watching with this new Ravens offense under Declan Doyle?
Yeah, I mean, how do they get all these new pieces that they have together, especially, at the wide receiver position, to go along with, Zay Flowers, who they already have had in the fold? How do they get the young guys really up to speed? How do they get Jacoby Lane and Chaz Surratt up to speed to where now Lamar can really utilize all the different body types that he has? And how does Declan really, develop that kind of play calling chemistry to know what Lamar likes, when to call it when he needs it, for Lamar to know where these guys are going to be and are they going to be there when he needs them to be there. They loaded up on tight ends as well to go along with Mark Andrews, who I believe is coming up on a contract year here soon. So I think there's a lot. They drafted Venga Ioane out of Penn State on the offensive line to kind of solidify the interior of the offensive line. You were talking about Derrick Henry already. Again, this is another football team, Laura, that looks loaded. It really does. But it's a new OC. And can he take this team to another level in terms of offensive execution? And can they execute when they need to the most in the biggest games?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it comes down to Lamar Jackson, because if you look at Lamar and this offense, then to me, the ceiling has got to be Super Bowl. And it's all going to come down to Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Can he stay healthy? And in the biggest moments, the issue for the Ravens has been this. In the biggest moments, their best players have come up the smallest. Think about the Derrick Henry fumble, the Lamar Jackson couple of turnovers in the postseason. So we're not going to judge this team in September, October, November, or even December. This team is going to be judged by what they do in January. And, you hate to say it, but the season for them doesn't start until the playoffs get ready to roll. And I think if they go into the postseason healthy, you got to feel really good about what you're seeing from Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, because all they got to do, they just got to show up and perform. They have the talent. They have all the pieces they need. They just got to perform at the biggest moments.
I just might pick the Ravens to win the Super Bowl again. I keep doing it. Maybe I'm the problem. All right, time now for one more thing before we go. And it was a